Hey y'all, today we're going to be making some roast beef or shredded beef enchiladas. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is get you an onion diced up. Now I'm using kind of a medium-sized onion, but use whatever size. If you love onion, put a bigger onion in there. Put 2 onions in there if you want to. If you don't love it quite as much, then, use a little small onion if that's what you need to do. But go ahead and just get it all diced up. Then we're going to take a roast, and I've got this chuck tender roast, and I don't even know how many pounds it was, but it wasn't very many, y'all, because the price of beef, a good gravy. Anyway, let's move on from that. But I put my little roast, I rinsed it off first, because y'all know that's how I do. And then I put it in my crock pot and added my onion, and then we're going to add in about a tablespoon or so of some minced garlic. Right over the top, just right over the top. Then we're going to put some seasonings in here. Now, I don't measure a lot of my seasonings. Now, if it's a new recipe or if they're kind of iffy seasonings, or something I don't fool with very much, then I will a lot of times, measure those. But garlic and onion and stuff, no, I'm not going to measure that. So, but if you're a brand new cook and you're not real sure, or if you're not a brand new cook but you're not real sure how much you want to add, I would say go with about a tablespoon of the garlic and onion and then about a teaspoon of the cumin and the chili powder. Okay, so we put some garlic and onion and some cumin. Now we're going to put a little bit of chili powder in here because we're making enchiladas. So we don't want this to taste like a Mississippi pot roast. You know what I'm saying? We want it to taste like it's got a little bit of Mexican flair, okay? So then I added just a little bit of salt and pepper. Just do this to your taste. And then we're going to add some salsa. Now, y'all know I'm a wimp when it comes to heat, so I use the mild salsa. But if you like hot, then honey, you use the hot if that's what you want to do. But I jumped about half of the jar in there because my roast wasn't very big. But if you have a pretty big piece of roast, just dump the whole jar in there. And then I added about a cup of beef broth. And then we're going to put the lid on this and let it cook all day on low. Now, as some of y'all already know, I am doing a giveaway, and it's already going now, but it goes until October the 31st, but you'll find all the details on my family-friendly Halloween treats video. I'll link that for y'all down in the description box. So what you're going to do, once your roast has cooked all day, we're going to go ahead and, look, my crock pot lid did not want to come off, but y'all know somebody told me that you're not supposed to hook the lid onto the crock pot. I had no idea. I've always just hooked it on there. But now I know better. You know what? When we know better, we do better. So I won't do it anymore. Now, you might still see it because, I've recorded some videos already. But, going forward, I won't do that. I'll be a good girl. So once it's all cooked, you're going to take it out of the crock pot. And I just scrape the salsa off and put it back into my crock pot because we're going to use that in a minute. So I just went ahead, and you can see it is just falling apart. Now, a lot of times I put my roast in the night before, and I just let it cook all night long. So however, whichever way you want to do it will work just fine. If you want to put it, in at night or in the morning. So once it gets to where it's just falling apart like this, that's when it's done. Now I'm just kind of ripping it apart with my forks and just pulling all that nasty fat and stringy mess out of there because I don't want to eat that. So I know a lot of people just hack it on up in there, but I can't do it, y'all. So once I got my meat all shredded up, I went ahead and took my knife, and I just ran my knife through it because we're making enchiladas with this. So you don't want huge pieces of meat. You want like bite-sized pieces or even smaller than bite-sized. You just want it to not be a huge hunk of meat when you bite into these, So I just go ahead and chop mine up, pretty good. Okay? So then I'm going to take my meat and I'm going to put it into a bowl because if we use it just like this, it's going to be a little on the dry side. Now, it's not like super dry or anything, but once we cook it in the oven, you know what I mean? And kind of some of the rest of that juice comes out of there. I just feel like it's going to be too dry. So we don't want to throw it in there straight like that. And please don't pick your meat up like I'm doing with the blade of your knife like this because... just don't do it, y'all. Just trust me on that one. Don't do it. Because look, I thought I had cut my finger for just a second, but I didn't. Everything was fine. I survived, but don't do that. So once you get your meat all chopped up and put into this bowl, I'm going to go ahead and scoop some of the onions and the salsa that was left over in that juice, and I'm going to put that right over in with my meat. And that way we get all that good stuff in the middle of our enchiladas. Y'all didn't think I was going to throw that away, did you? So go ahead and just put your onions and your salsa in there, and then add a couple of spoonfuls of that juice. And that way you won't have dry meat. You'll add a little bit of moisture to your meat before we put them into our enchiladas. Okay, does that make sense? You don't want it too watery, but you definitely want it to have a little bit of liquid in there so that it doesn't dry out too bad. So then we're just going to, I promise my counter's clean, y'all. Make sure your oven's preheated to 350. And then we're just going to lay out our little tortillas. And I'm just doing a little assembly line. Now, if you don't want to do them all out on your counter like this, or you ain't got the space, whatever, do one at a time. It doesn't make any difference, y'all. However you can do it, that's how you do it. So I'm just going to take a couple of spoonfuls of this meat, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of each one of my little tortillas. And these are just like the regular, like taco size tortillas. You know what I mean? You can see. They're not the real big ones, but they're not the tiny ones either. Then we're just going to add some cheese, and we're just going to roll them up. And that's all you got to do, y'all. That's how easy this is. This is very, very simple, very easy to do, and it's a little bit different than just a normal enchilada. So then I took a little bit of that juice and put it down in the bottom of my 9x13 pan because, again, we're going to add a little bit of moisture, and it'll keep, look, you see that hand sneak in there and take meat out of my bowl? Man, I tell you what, can't even have people over. But anyway, that way the bottom of your enchiladas don't get real hard, okay? It'll keep them nice and soft. So I was able to fit 3, 6, 7, 8 in my 9x13 pan. But if you're making for more people or whatever the case is, I had more meat, but that's how many I could fit in my pan, so that's how many I did. And then we just ate the rest of the roast. So then I just went and took the rest of those onions and salsa that was left in my crock pot, and I put that right over the top of my enchiladas, and then I put a little bit more juice over the top, just again to keep them from drying out, and of course to add some good flavor. And then I just topped them with, just a tiny bit of cheese there. And then we're going to pop them in the oven for about 30 minutes or until your cheese is nice and melted and golden brown. Or golden yellow, because it's not really brown, but y'all know what I'm saying. But that's all there is to these, y'all. They're so easy, and it's such a but it gives you another option for enchiladas if you don't want just the plain like a chicken enchilada. So that's all I've got for y'all today. I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.